On the live set of Treasure or Trash, the spotlight finds a young carpenter named Daichi, holding a carefully wrapped katana.
What treasure have you brought us today?
Daichi's steady hands peel back the aged silk, revealing a subtle gleam of ancient steel.
Enough with the suspense. Just a common soldier's sword.
Actually, it was my grandfather's. He kept it hidden for decades, and...
A tourist fake from the Showa era. I can spot these a mile away. Your grandfather wasted his money.
A wave of murmurs sweeps the audience, some gasping at the cruelty. Tatsuya snatches the blade, unsheathing it roughly to display the wave-like Hamon under the lights.
Look at this machine-made Hamon. Complete junk. Zero collectible value.
Daichi wraps the sword in silence, offers a quiet bow, and walks off stage as Tatsuya smirks at the host. Daichi walked through the wings, but his mind was elsewhere, years earlier in a small blacksmith shop.
This isn't just a sword, Daichi, grandfather had said. His hands steady on the steel. It's our soul.
The memory sharpened his jaw, but he kept moving. Past the curtain and into the backstage corridor, a young production assistant approached, holding a bottle of water. Daichi shook his head, his knuckles white on the silk.
See that? Sakura? Humiliation sells. Ratings spike when the audience gets to feel superior.
But his grandfather
is dead. And so is that sword's value. Don't get soft on me.
Daichi reached the heavy soundproofed exit at the back of the lot. His hand pressed flat against the cold metal.
Maybe the appraiser was right. Maybe this blade is nothing but a burden.
But his fingers didn't push. For a long moment, he simply stood there, the wrapped weight heavy in his arms. Before Daichi could push the door, a steady voice cut through the on-set tension from behind the cameras.
Young man, wait, don't leave yet.
Eyes shifted to an elderly man in cream blazer, Mr. Tomohiro, the show's senior consultant and veteran curator.
Not this again. Let the kid go, there's nothing there.
May I see that blade, please? Just for a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, a surprise development. Our own Mr. Tomohiro wants a second look.
Daichi stood frozen, then slowly extended the wrapped sword. Tomohiro's hands trembled as he accepted it. He carried it to the red velvet table and began to unwrap it with a reverence the studio had never seen.
You are wasting airtime. This is absurd.
The old curator's eyes, magnified through his glass, widened with an emotion the cameras had never captured before. Tomohiro drew the blade fully, the steel hissing softly against the sheath. He brought the magnifier close to the undulating hamon.
This temper pattern, this crescent mark, it can't be.
Old man, it's a souvenir. Let it go. You are making a fool of yourself.
Ignoring him, Tomohiro opened a manila envelope and withdrew a sepia archive photograph, its edges curled with age.
This is documented. A sword by the 17th century master Kanemitsu, missing from the National Registry since the war.
The studio fell silent. Daichi's face drained of color, his mouth slightly open.
Ridiculous. A blurry photo proves nothing. The network will never let you air this fantasy.
We're live, Mr. Tatsuya. The control room is asking if we should cut to commercial.
The audience leaned forward as one, a wave of hushed whispers and camera flashes. The ancient sword lay on the velvet, its true history hanging by a thread. While Tomohiro stood trembling with conviction, Tatsuya's fist came down on the mahogany appraisal table, rattling the magnifier and the sepia photo.
You expect a television audience to believe a blurry photo? This is a stunt to make me look bad.
Sakura's hand flew to her earpiece as the control room's anxious voices buzzed in her ear.
But the ratings are soaring. Every moment we stay live, the numbers climb even higher.
Then do your duty. The network's own ethics policy requires verification for potentially significant cultural artifacts.
You are not taking that sword off this stage. This is my show.
The control room scrambled, a producer's indecisive voice crackling through the earpiece. Tomohiro carefully re-wrapped the sword, the ancient hamon disappearing beneath the silk.
Nothing makes sense. But if that old man believes in the sword,
The audience buzzed as the stage emptied, live cameras still rolling on a show that had spiraled completely beyond the producer's control. In a cramped backstage office, Tomohiro set the wrapped sword on a cluttered desk and opened his laptop.
The National Museum database has high-resolution scans of every documented Tang mark. Let's match them.
Across the hall, Tatsuya cornered the producer, his voice a low, furious hiss.
That old fool is going to drag the network into a legal nightmare if you let him air this fantasy.
The producer glanced at the live viewer counter. It was shattering every record. He chose to stall.
There, a 1954 police report. The sword was stolen from the Tanaka household during the post-war chaos.
He laid the sepia photo next to the physical Tang, the crescent mark aligning with the scan.
Tanaka, that's my name. But we were never samurai. We were blacksmiths.
Your family was entrusted with the blade after the clan fell. Your grandfather was the last guardian.
Daichi's hands trembled, the weight of an unspoken family duty suddenly crashing down on him in that tiny room. The live broadcast resumed with a tense energy as Tomohiro and Daichi stepped back onto the stage.
Welcome back, everyone. In an astonishing development, our senior consultant has uncovered startling new evidence.
Tomohiro moved to the large monitor, projecting the sword's Tang mark beside the sepia archive photograph.
Only Master Kanemitsu used this exact crescent punch on commissioned blades. It's as unique as a fingerprint.
A coincidence. Any forger could copy that mark from a catalog. It proves nothing.
Through the earpiece, an on-call historian from the National University joined the broadcast to settle the matter. The historian's voice. The crescent punch is distinctive to Kanemitsu. This sword is genuine, without a doubt. A wave of gasps and camera flashes erupted from the audience. Phones held high to record the moment.
This is far from conclusive. A single professor's opinion means nothing in a proper authentication.
Sakura drew out the moment on camera, the broadcast clinging to the edge, the sword's fate still unsealed. Seeing the cameras shift away, Tatsuya lunged forward and snatched the unsheathed blade from the red velvet.
Handling a historical treasure without gloves is reckless. I'll secure it properly.
You are gripping it like a toy. Set it down gently. The hilt is fragile.
In the struggle, the hilt jolted loose. A small, aged paper knot tumbled from inside the Tang hole to the table.
An omamori placed inside the hilt when the sword was last bound.
The delicate paper bore a faded family crest and a prayer for protection, the ink still legible after centuries. Tatsuya stared at the charm, the blade suddenly heavy in his grip, his sneer frozen on his face.
Dated the 14th year of Jinroku, the same year Master Kanemitsu forged this sword. It's over 300 years old.
A dead silence fell over the studio, broken only by the quiet whir of the live cameras. Tomohiro gently reclaimed the blade, placing the ancient charm beside the hamon, proof that could never be unwritten.
Mr. Tatsuya, now that the charm has surfaced, do you still stand by your appraisal that this was a fake?
This is absurd. That so-called charm is clearly a modern plant to humiliate me on air.
He ripped his silver appraiser's pin from the blazer and hurled it onto the velvet beside the sword.
I won't participate in this charade any longer. It's a setup. You are all conspiring to make me lose my reputation.
Some audience members stood, booing loudly. Others sat frozen, mouths open, still processing the dramatic exit.
With that unexpected departure, our senior consultant, Mr. Tomohiro, what now for this remarkable blade?
I urge the network to contact the Agency for Cultural Affairs. This sword is a missing national treasure.
Daichi's trembling hand touched the ancient charm, his fingers tracing the faded crest as if listening to its story.
What did you protect, grandfather, in that humble forge, under a lifetime of silence?
A single tear fell from his cheek onto the velvet, the cameras drawing in close, capturing the moment of recognition. With Tatsuya gone, Tomohiro reached into his leather bag and withdrew an ancient leather-bound museum register. Its pages yellowed.
Here it is, the exact commissioning record, forged for a samurai retainer of the Tanaka clan, your ancestors, Daichi.
Sakura, the host, leaned in, her voice dropping to a hush as she read a printed email, confirmation aloud.
The National Museum confirms this sword matches the missing Kanemitsu. Designation as important cultural property will be fast-tracked.
A golden graphic flashed on the big screen. Authenticated potential national treasure.
In 1920, the sword was passed to a blacksmith, your great-great-grandfather, with a vow to guard it until the nation remembers.
All this time, he was just waiting for the right moment, and I almost threw it away.
As the broadcast ended, museum officials and security personnel surrounded the table, camera phones flashing in every direction.
From a cheap replica to an heirloom 3 centuries old, this is the greatest moment in treasure or trash history.
Daichi held the wrapped sword gently in his arms as Tomohiro placed a hand on his shoulder. The journey only beginning. Minutes after the broadcast, the backstage corridor exploded into a chaos of news crews, museum directors, and private collectors. A notorious private collector pushed forward, his voice slicing through the chatter like a blade.
1 billion yen. Cash. Tonight. For the sword.
His mind flooded with images. His cramped apartment, his son Riku's bright smile, the overdue bills on the counter. He excused himself abruptly, found a tiny bathroom, and locked the door, splashing cold water on his face.
If I sell, I could give Riku everything. A real home, education, a life without overtime.
Through the door, Tomohiro's calm voice carried over the clamor. Let him breathe. He is not a commodity. Daichi looked at his reflection in the small mirror, the sword in its case on the sink, his grandfather's legacy staring back.
But grandfather said it's our soul. Can I put my son's future above a vow I never took?
The world outside clamored for an answer, but inside that small room, only the hum of the fan and the weight of centuries spoke. The next morning, Daichi carried the sword in a protective case into the quiet halls of the National Museum, his decision still unmade.
Daichi, I've prepared something. The full story of your family, records from the village registry.
He pushed a faded family registry across the table, the Tanaka name threading through centuries of blacksmiths and retainers.
And here, a diary of Tanaka Jiro, the samurai who once held your sword. The final entry.
Should the house fall, entrust this soul to the earth. It must not be sold. Tomohiro spoke of how Daichi's grandfather, a quiet rural blacksmith, became the final guardian, hiding the blade even when soldiers searched his home.
He kept his promise during the war. Families sold everything, but he buried it, waiting for the day it could be returned.
He placed an old photograph on the desk. Daichi's grandfather as a young man, standing before the forge, a wrapped blade in his arms.
He carried this for 70 years, and I nearly sold it in a single night.
Daichi's fingers tightened on the photo, the museum's silence pressing in with the weight of an unbroken vow. Daichi returned to his small apartment, a crayon samurai on the fridge, and stood before the altar.
If I sold, Riku could have a real home, a good school, no more overtime.
His phone displayed the collector's offer, a sum that could buy a new life.
But grandfather's voice echoed, "This isn't just a sword, it is our soul."
He opened a drawer for a tool manual, and an aged folded paper slipped out. Daichi, this blade must never be sold. It belongs to those who came before. Let it go home.
He wrote this for me, trusting I'd understand when the time came.
Daichi sat with the note, the weight of generations settling into a strange calm.
Mr. Tomohiro, I want to arrange a permanent loan. The sword belongs to the museum.
The call ended, and Daichi placed the letter on the altar. The room suddenly full of light. Within a week, a network executive stood before Tatsuya in an empty conference room, his expression cold. He read the suspension letter, his hand tightening on the paper until his knuckles went white. That night, A leaked montage of his harshest on-air humiliations went viral, viewed millions of times. Tatsuya sat alone in his dark apartment, bottle untouched, scrolling through the endless notifications. The next morning, his wife stood in the doorway with packed bags, their children behind her, faces averted. The disgrace is too much. We can't stay. The door closed with a soft click. Desperate for distraction, he turned on the news and froze on a live feed of Daichi at a civic ceremony. Daichi was receiving a certificate, his serene smile a sharp contrast to Tatsuya's crumbling world.
That nobody is being celebrated while I am destroyed.
He hurled the remote at the wall, the plastic shattering in the empty room, silence swallowing the echo. Months passed. The investigation into Tatsuya's past appraisals uncovered a trail of suppressed complaints and reckless dismissals. Daiji and Tomohiro sat across a polished desk, a long-term renewable loan agreement ready to be signed.
This makes it official. The sword is now designated an important cultural property under the museum's permanent care.
I want my son to understand it was never about the metal. It's about the people who held it.
Your grandfather would be proud. He guarded it with his life, and you've given it back to the nation.
They shook hands, the loan papers signed and notarized. The sword's future was no longer uncertain. Daichi stood alone in a quiet museum gallery, looking at the display case being prepared for the sword. The plaque already stood ready, its inscription promising, "Forever in trust for the nation," by the Tanaka family.
The sword will tell its story now. Grandfather's silence was never silence, it was a promise kept.
He turned away, leaving the gallery to the quiet light. The public would soon see it, but that was for another day. The Appraisers Guild hearing convened in a sterile white room. Tatsuya sat alone at the respondents' table, his suit plain and dark. A former client testified, voice shaking. He called my Edo scroll a print. 5 years later, the museum authenticated it. Another described selling a 15th century tea bowl for scrap. After his dismissal, the family's livelihood lost. The chairman read the findings. Gross negligence, ethical violations, harm to public trust. This guild cannot tolerate. License revoked. Effective immediately. The red stamp crashed down, voiding his name forever. Tatsuya took the document, bowed stiffly, and walked out of the room. Not a single person followed him. Cold rain began as he stepped outside, soaking his hair. He found a bench in a small, empty park. A child nearby laughed, chasing a balloon. The ordinary world continued, indifferent to his ruin.
12 years, and not a single person cared. What became of me?
He crumpled the wet document into his pocket and stared up at the gray, endless sky. No destination left. The museum opened its new wing, Guardians of the Blade, a family's vow. Daichi arrived in a clean suit, holding Riku's small hand.
Papa, look, that's the sword. That's our sword.
Yes, it is. And Hyoji-chan took care of it for a very, very, very long time.
I'll take really good care of it too, when I am big, I promise.
A large panel beside the case told the story of the Tanaka guardianship, a photo of the old blacksmith at its center. Tomohiro observed from the edge of the crowd, his eyes glistening behind his glasses as he watched the small boy's wonder.
He lived to see this. A blacksmith who kept a samurai's soul. And now his great-grandson knows.
Riku pressed his palm flat against the cool glass, his small fingers spread wide, trying to touch the history within.
It's okay, it's home now, and you are part of that story forever.
The ancient katana gleamed in its glass case, a single beam of sunlight catching the perfect Hamon wave, a guardian's oath now visible to all. After the exhibit, a news crew caught Daichi outside, a forest of microphones waiting.
The most precious things aren't always shiny or new. Sometimes they're the rusted tools in a shed, with a story waiting to be told.
The clip spread like fire. Millions shared his quiet words, a lesson etched into the digital world. The network issued a formal statement. We failed our audience. Effective immediately. Our appraisal ethics will be overhauled. Days later, the entertainment division canceled Treasure or Trash permanently. The studio lights went cold. Tomohiro retired soon after. His final project a triumph that curators would study for decades. A letter arrived at Daichi's apartment from the local elementary school. Riku's class would visit the exhibit.
Riku gets to see his great-grandfather's treasure, and the whole class will learn the story.
Riku puffed out his chest when he heard, then ran to tell every neighbor on their floor. The katana's new home was not just a museum, it was a future, now shared by a boy who would never forget. That evening, Daichi lit incense at the family altar, where a fine replica sword now rested beneath his grandfather's photograph. He placed the original appraisal show ticket stub beside the incense holder, a quiet, private ritual.
All of this from that one humiliating day, and now the sword is home for the nation.
The front door banged open and Riku burst in, waving a colorful museum catalog.
Papa, I am going to be a historian when I grow up. I'll study swords and samurai and tell everyone about our family.
A historian? That's a big dream, and a wonderful one.
Daichi ruffled Riku's hair, laughing softly at the earnest declaration.
He would have been so proud. All that silent waiting, it finally paid off.
Riku nodded firmly, then ran to place the catalog on the altar. Next to the ticket and the replica sword, Daichi watched him, the weight of generations settling into a peaceful, quiet joy that felt like a long-awaited exhale. Months later, in a small hardware store across the city, Tatsuya stocked shelves under a flickering fluorescent light. A customer thrust an old clock at him, sneering. "This piece of junk, worthless, right? You are the expert." Tatsuya flinched, the words a cruel echo of his own past. He said nothing, only nodded. During his break, a shop television broadcast the museum's new samurai wing, Daichi and Riku on screen. The sword caught the light as the boy pressed his palm to the glass. Tatsuya's face remained unreadable.
All that arrogance, and a blacksmith's grandson showed me what honor really meant.
He pulled his wallet from his pocket, revealing a worn newspaper clipping tucked inside, the headline still visible. "Family, heirloom, returned to the nation." He stared at it without expression, then folded it away. He tucked the wallet away and returned to the shelves, his hands moving automatically over the boxes. Outside, the city moved on, indifferent to a man who once judged treasures and now carried his own quiet ruins. On the final day of the special exhibit, a long line of visitors stretched around the museum. An elderly man in a wheelchair was gently guided through a side entrance. Tomohiro's hands, now thin and spotted, rested on a blanket, but his eyes still held the sharpness of a lifetime of study. He was positioned before the glass case. The katana gleamed within, its hamon catching the warm gallery light. With effort, Tomohiro raised a trembling hand and pressed his palm flat against the cool glass.
Thank you, old friend.
A tear traced down his cheek, falling onto the blanket. The museum staff looked away, giving him the moment. Outside, the sun began to set, casting the grand museum facade in deep gold. A long shadow stretched across the plaza. Inside, the same golden light fell across the sword's plaque, illuminating the engraved words. The katana rested in its case, a silent witness to a promise kept across centuries. And Tomohiro, the curator who gave it back to the world, closed his eyes in peace. Years later, Riku stood at the front of his fourth grade classroom, the museum catalog held open like a treasured artifact.
My great-great-great-grandfather was a samurai, but my great-grandfather was a blacksmith. He kept his promise to protect the sword. To me, that's real courage.
His classmates burst into applause, some of them standing and cheering. That evening, Daichi and Riku sat on their small wooden porch, the replica sword resting on Riku's lap.
One day you'll tell your own children about the sword. That's how it lives forever.
Riku nodded, his eyes fixed on the distant stars.
I'll remember, Papa. I'll tell them everything.
Daichi squeezed his shoulder, and together they watched the night sky deepen. And in the museum, the ancient katana gleamed in its case, a tiny star of its own, a promise kept for all time.